Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Gemini in the month of October 2018. Hi, Geminis. How are you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Gemini, as you can see, I went ahead and I shuffled off camera for your main spread. What I'm going to do now is shuffle for your outcome and your overall energy. Once those cards are out and everything is lying face up, that's when the reading will begin. You can look in the description box below for the timestamp of when that actually occurs, and you can go ahead and jump ahead if you choose to. Also down there, you're going to find information about getting a private reading with me if you are so inclined. And yeah, let's get into it. Outcome for Gemini in October 2018, please. Outcome. There we go. Bottom of the deck's the overall energy. Kind of came sideways, so... Which way for Gemini, please? Please show me. This way, thank you. Very good. All right, Gem, let's go ahead and flip this and this, and let's talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. All right. These are kind of bigger than most cards I usually use. So we're using up a lot of the board. Alright, where's Gemini coming into October, please? Please show me where Gemini is in October. Please show me. Here? Okay, right off the bat, let's do it. Alright, so first of all, you're the third reading I'm doing for October, obviously going in order of the Zodiac Gemini. And you're the first one to get the triplet and the double. And those were really happening back in like July and August, I believe, for most of the Zodiacs. You're the first one, like I said, to get it. And I'm pretty sure, like almost 100% sure, that when the triplets have come out, or two cards for one space, I've never, maybe once, I've begun there. Normally what I do is I ask my guides, where's this person, where's this, you know, how do I begin this reading? And then from there it kind of, you know, spreads out. But I think this is the first, if not the second time that I've started with two cards. So that to me is significant, showing that there's sort of a deeper context to where you are as you begin this reading, as you begin your time in October, okay? I feel like really, really compelled to explain that whatever this is, whatever it's going to pertain to in your life, if it resonates at all, it might not, but if it does, this is quite significant, whatever we're going to end up talking about, okay? So, where you come into October, you come in with the Five of Swords and the Three of Swords. And this is the Santa Morte deck by, Fabio Lestrani, I believe is his name? Yeah, Fabio Lestrani. So Five of Swords and Three of Swords, and I don't normally add up cards. I don't usually do calculations or anything like that, but this would add up to the Eight of Swords. And man, it's very heavy. It's kind of bleak, you know? I mean, and look at it. You know, you've got the Five of Swords there where it's two people seemingly under attack by five onlookers, or five people who kind of are at odds with this pair, with this couple. And then you've also got the Three of Swords, where this is a backstabbing situation. Things have been kind of cruel and messy, just very messy is what I get. And they came in this order, right? So the 5 in front of the 4. Definitely a sense of betrayal. And on the part of whom and who's been betrayed, I don't know just yet. But there is this feeling of having words, having disagreements, having arguments, having tension amongst a group of people, not just two people, not three, not four, not five, but like a group. Like a lot of this feels like a family dynamic. A lot of this feels like, not even work. This feels heavily like family, and within that family, there might be a particular couple or a particular pairing that's been under attack or has been attacking. It could go either way. It's a general reading, right? But there's like this us versus them feeling, where two people, or, you know, like I said, it could go the other way. So a group of people, 3, 4, 5 people, feel kind of one way about a situation, and the other side feels the opposite way, and it's very contentious. It's very heavily disputed. It's not a pretty sight. You know, you walk into a room and, you know, the tension is so thick you could, you know, cut it with a knife. It's and the elephant in the room is not being addressed. The elephant in the room is sitting down and having a piece of cake and acting like nothing. You know, like, it's also in the, thank you. It's also like coming from the past. So what I'm talking about is not something that you're not unaware of. I mean, this is your starting point, Gemini. So this is like a long-standing situation for some of you, where you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly the people involved, and it's just really hard for everybody involved. Like, nobody here is the winner. And that's kind of like a traditional understanding of the Five of Swords anyway. You have, in the traditional Rider-Waite, it's one guy with like 5 swords, 2 people are walking off in the distance. They've just had a fight, they've just had a disagreement, and this one guy, he's a little smug, but he truly hasn't won because 2 people are walking away, friends of his, loved ones of his, and he's all alone. And this one, there's 2 people, so nobody, in a sense, is alone, but there is still this like feeling of arguments that nobody wins, or battles that nobody is really winning. This is a deep entanglement, and again, I'm getting like a us versus them feeling. I'm getting like, we're a team. You and I have to stick together, or the 3 of us have to stick together. We've got to stick to the same story, and if anybody wavers from that story, the whole pardon my French, but the whole goddamn ship goes down. If anybody here changes their opinion, or changes their story, or messes with the details, or, you know, throws their hands up and say, I'm not getting involved in this, like, it's so far gone, this disagreement, this argument, this battle, this discrepancy between 2 groups, it's so far like down the line that there's no going back. Thank you. There's no turning back. And I mean, that's kind of depicted there. Like, they're kind of, where are they? It looks like they're in a graveyard or something, or maybe they're in, oh, what do you call that? Oh God, I can't think of the word. But these 2 figures, they're like in a tight space, right? They're caught between a rock and a hard place almost. So, and the swords are coming at them, and they could backtrack, but I mean, I don't know about you. Reversing in a very tight space is not an easy task. So to go back, to retreat, to change your statement, to change your position, your opinion, to change your mind is almost impossible, is what this is feeling like for somebody, if not everybody in this situation, Gemini. Again, I'm not getting anything super specific other than it feels like family, and it feels like within that family dynamic there is a couple, either romantically linked, or 2 people like siblings, or 2 people like, you know, 2 close cousins or something like that, that are kind of having to defend themselves against everybody else. Everybody else, okay? The other component is the 3 of Swords. So there's been a manipulation here. There's been trickery here. This person, I don't know how clearly you'll be able to see it, but the figure on the ground there has 2 swords in its back, or their back, held by the figure above, and it comes after the figure on the bottom was on their knees, knelt down, and kind of offered up this third sword, only to be betrayed, only to be stabbed in the back. So there was like this manipulation, or there was kind of like this trust that was violated in this situation. Or if the violation hasn't happened, or the betrayal hasn't happened, it's about to. It's like unfurling. It's coming out right now, like very soon. Okay, so Gemini, I don't know what the hell is going on here. I'm going to be super honest with you. I'm not getting scenarios other than family, a tight-knit group. If it's not a family situation, if it's not blood family, it's the family that you consider that you've made for yourself. So maybe some of you are estranged from your family, and maybe this is a friendship circle. If some of you don't have a family, but you have in-laws, or you're getting to, you know what I mean? Whoever is closest to you. At a stretch, maybe a coworker situation, maybe a partnership, a business partnership situation where, you know, you're starting up a company, or you founded a corporation, you founded a nonprofit, whatever, and you're working closely with other people, but it feels like a family dynamic. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. If it's not your literal blood family, it approximates that feeling. And people are being put to the test. People are being challenged. People are being argumentative. People are being, in some cases, blatantly destructive or attacking other people. There's something about some people are being attacked and people are having to defend, and it's really hard to defend or backtrack or get to a safe space. And underneath that, or in tandem with the attacking and in tandem with the arguments, is a betrayal, is a backstab, is someone has come to another person in this dynamic saying, can you help me? Or I offer myself in loyalty to you, something like that. And the person who's receiving that message, who's receiving the offer of loyalty, who's being asked for help, basically annihilates the person who's on their knees, the person who's in the vulnerable position. Okay, and my gosh, that's really heavy, but that's where you're starting. I hope that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, run for the hills, my friend. And normally, or I shouldn't even say normally, what was happening when I got these triplets and these cards in double spaces is that there were two stories being told. That might be the case with you right now, Gemini, because I feel I can't get much from this. I think I'll get more from these four, but I'm not sure, outside of what is just like smacking me in the face of this is difficult energy. People are at odds in this energy. Someone's been hurt. Not just someone. Multiple people have been hurt in this situation. There's been lies, manipulations. There's been attacks. All of that is just so general, right? And it might not fit easily into your storyline. So if it doesn't, don't force it. But I feel for someone out there, a few of you out there, it's going to like bing, 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 bing. Like, you know what I'm talking about, okay? Now, these two cards in your starting position come underneath the King of Cups. So for some of you, this is going to involve a water sign, a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces person. It does not have to be, but they kind of fit this archetype. And I do get father, okay? The king can be patriarchal, can be attributed to a father figure. So for some of you, it could be your literal father or your father-in-law, or someone who's kind of taking on that role in your life, or kind of has that clout in your life. If it's not your literal father or someone like that, it would be someone in a position of leadership. Like, I feel that this person is like at the head of the table, if that phrase applies. They sit at the head of the table. They kind of have a lot of control. They kind of have a lot of say in whatever situation this is involving in your life, Gemini. But obviously, as this card shows, this person has a big heart. You can see the heart on the chest or whatever. They care a lot about their family. Again, either blood family or, you know, a family of your own making, business partners, whatever. Whoever's close to the situation, whoever's in the inner circle, like going back to Meet the Fockers. This is the inner circle, Greg. This is the inner circle, okay? So whoever's in the inner circle, this would be Robert De Niro's character, okay? Now, very different from Robert De Niro's character is this idea that as much as he cares, whoever this King of Cups person is, doesn't have to be a male, by the way, it can be a female. Whoever this person is, they care a lot, they do. They really, really want to do right by everybody, but they are delusional. They do not have a proper head on their shoulders, or they're missing certain key details, or they're overlooking details, or they're just seeing things through rose-tinted glasses. Some of them, as you can obviously see, are having a drinking problem. They're kind of sweeping problems under the rug, or they're self-medicating to avoid the difficulties or to avoid the direness of this situation here, this really stressful situation down here. This person is like, they're involved, they have a lot of say, they have a lot of pull or influence, but they're not utilizing it the correct way. Like, they think they're doing a good job, but they're really not. Like, they're really dropping the ball, Gemini. This person is really, in some cases, really self-centered. I wish I had like a better example, but this person is masking their self-interest. Okay? Like, they care about everybody else in the room, but they care about themselves more. Okay? They want everybody in this room to succeed and be happy and to get out of this mess and see the brighter side, or get to a lighter side, or get to an easier side in the situation, but they're not helping at all. Some of them are literally sitting on the sidelines, drinking themselves under the table or whatever, getting stoned, whatever they're doing, getting high, escaping, some of them. Others are making choices and they're actively involved in this situation, but they're not, again, whatever they're contributing is more harmful than helpful. Like, this is, in some cases, this might be a grandfather or someone who's of a certain age that, no offense to anybody who might be an older viewer, or this is kind of resonating, I'm going to say this about this person, but this person, like, for lack of a better phrasing, kind of needs to be put on the bench or, pushed off to the sideline, because whatever they're bringing, their approach, their behavior, their convictions, the way that they express themselves is really, like, kind of dated, and it lacks sensitivity, it lacks empathy, and so they think they're helping when they say what they say or they do what they do, but actually it's more, like I said, it's more harmful than helpful. So this could be an issue where generationally this person's out of touch and their approach to things is just too rigid, too structured, too militant, all of that. This could be like a corporal punishment situation if we're talking about a family dynamic, and maybe this is like you're raising children around this person, or you're asking this person to help you raise your children, maybe, and this person is just like, like I said, they're not helping the situation. You're like, look, mom, look, dad, my kids are on this type of diet. We don't do artificial sugars. We don't do any of that stuff. And this is like the grandparent who's like, do you want a piece of candy? Do you want a piece of cake? Do you want this? Do you want that? Like, feeding the child food and I'm giving a very light example. I'm giving something lighter than what I'm feeling, because I don't want to, for some reason, I'm feeling like I don't want to go down that road. So I'm just going to give you this example, but if it's deeper than that, you know what I'm talking about. And this is like the parent or the grandparent, who's like, oh, it's okay, it's just a candy bar, or it's just some chips, or it's just we just ordered pizza for dinner while you were working late at the office, son or daughter. And you're like, I told you not to get takeout for the kids, please. There's plenty of food in the fridge for them to eat. They can eat this, they can eat that. There's hummus, there's carrots, there's all this healthy food in the house. Why did you order pizza? And this person is just like drinking their scotch or brandy, having a G&T, sitting in front of the TV watching Jeopardy, and they're like, oh, well, I mean, pizza's not gonna kill them, Karen. And they just go about, and that's how their approach is. It's not gonna kill them in the moment. And you're like, I'm not talking about the moment, mom or dad. I don't want my kids eating this crap. Don't do that again. Now, granted, this person is helpful in that they're, quote unquote, free babysitting. You know, they're an instilled caretaker for your child, but they're not caring for your child in the way that you want them to. Now, that's a very general example. I feel for most of you, it's deeper than that. Even if it is still children, it's more than just the food. It's more than just what they're putting on the kid's plate that's bothering you. It's more than that. And they're none the wiser. You could tell them 1,000 times, please don't. This is why. I don't want you to do that. And they'll still do it. Okay, so that's that. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. It's not easy. Because as much as you, and that could be where the betrayal is coming in for some of you. Because you trust this person with your kid, you ask them, please do this for me, but they continually stab you in the back. They continually disappoint you. They continually sort of break the rules or go above, kind of go above your head, or like sidestep your rules and regulations, undermine you. That's the word, undermine you. And that's a betrayal. You know what I mean? To a certain extent. That's heartbreaking to a certain extent. Okay? And they think they're doing it from a place of love, from a place of caring. And they feel as if they're doing the right thing, but from your perspective, or your husband's perspective, your wife's perspective, whoever, it's not right. Okay? Wow. I need a little drink of water. Got a little hectic there. All right, so that's where you're coming in. I think collectively that's where you're coming in. And I think this is something separate. Or maybe not. Wow, okay. So this is like heavy family, heavy like love dynamic for some of you. If it's not family, like the people that live in your house, it would be extended family. So, you know, it's still your parents, but they don't live with you, or they don't take care of your kids often, whatever it is. But overall, this is about your home. This is about the enrichment of your home. Like, I think a lot of you are focused on enriching your home or getting stability in your home, and you've been working hard at that, but it's not coming out in the wash, so to speak. It's been more difficult than you're letting on. There we go. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So remember here, I was talking about this kind of dark and dreary, very difficult stuff where you're starting out. I think that's also for some of you, if not most of you, your internal space is like this. It's very dark. It's very dire. It's very trying. You're exhausted. You feel attacked. You feel as if you have no escape. You feel as if you can't go back and change your circumstances, right? And what's on the outside is this. Got the Four of Wands. In this deck, it's sort of, to me, it's reminding me of like a fruit stand or like a flower stand in like a market or mercado. I think that's what you would call it in Spanish. But anyway, so I think a lot of you are really focused, and the reason I say market and mercado and a fruit stand and all that is because that alludes to a business. So I think a lot of you are really focused on your money, focused on your business, if you have an actual business that you own, or rather, you've been about your business. If you don't work for yourself, you've been working a lot of hours, you've been taking on extra shifts, you've been working overtime, you've gotten a second job, you're hustling basically. And the Four of Wands in the traditional tarot is more about your home life and your stability and building those foundations, and it's not so directly aligned to money or resources. This card in particular from this deck, I feel, is heavily focused on your resources and your money, and finding a rhythm and a pattern that you can depend on, which might be why you've got your parent or your parents living with you, taking care of your kids, or picking your kids up after school and keeping them at their house for 2 hours a night, something like that. And there's two things at work here. there is this independence in this card. This person is by themselves in the flower stand, okay? But there is behind it a lot of strife or a lot of work that goes into this. A lot of, this person, male or female, doesn't matter, has to get all these flowers, has to cut them, trim them, put them in these boxes and bottles, has to set up prices. There's a lot of work that goes behind creating this image or creating or moving towards this goal or this status, okay? So on the inside or back home at the ranch, okay, you're being attacked. You and your husband or you and your wife are under attack, or you feel pressurized. You feel as if you have no place to go. You have no escape route. You're under the thumb of someone else or something like that, and you're attacked. And then there's issues of betrayal. There's issues of manipulations and lying and deceit and all that kind of stuff, backstabbing. A lot of crap is going on at home behind, don't pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. Like, that's sort of the thing, okay? Like, this is, all this is like, oh, welcome to the land of Oz, and here's what's going on behind the curtain. And the whole thing, what goes on behind the curtain, what goes on in front of the curtain, is, it's very demanding. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. It's not easy. And I think that is your struggle right now, Gemini, is that it's damn well not easy. It's not. Everybody involved knows it's not, but nobody's calling it that. Nobody's saying that aloud. It's sort of like accepted. It's sort of like silently understood, or silently, people are just like rolling with the punches here. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much of that. Actually, no. I don't think it actually bothers you to the point where you're going to change it. If that makes sense. Like, you're bothered by it. It's not right. It's too much. The stress of this is bothering you health-wise. It's messing up your sleep. You can't eat whatever it is, and your kids are stressed, your parents, or whoever. Everybody's got their own thing that they're contending with in this situation. But it's not so upsetting to you, Gemini, for you to change gears, to shift lanes at all. At all. This Four of Wands is where you are, or where you put a lot of your energy, I should say, where you're putting a lot of your effort. Like I said, working extra hours at work, picking up another job, finding different ways to sustain yourself, to sustain your family, to make sure the bills are paid, to make sure medical expenses don't get out of hand, etc., etc. You've got a lot of irons in the fire. There's a lot of moving pieces, but you're really navigating it, like, pretty well. Like, it's pretty unnoticeable. Like, again, this looks pretty, you know what I mean? All those flowers are for sale. She's got her little chest there in the front of her. Like, this person looks like an accomplished little shopkeeper, right? A little accomplished business owner. Like, you would not know casually how much work goes into making this stand open and shut every day. Nobody knows that when you go to work, you know what I mean? I hope that makes sense to you. There's a lot of hard work behind what you're doing. And that's evident here. We're going to go there too, obviously. But, because I introduced them together. But just to kind of tie in where this is coming from, this is you. Nine of Wands. Look at all that effort. I mean, out there with a scythe in that long dress, impractical. Number one. So maybe the way that you're going about this is kind of impractical. Like I said, I feel a lot of you are, you're off your sleeping schedule. You're not eating as well as you should be. Your physical health might be ailing. You might have an achy back, some sore knees, whatever, headaches, migraines, but you're just thinking, well, that's par for the course. That's what happens when you work, 50 hours a week or something like that. That's what happens when you, have to balance a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs that you do on the weekend, whatever. And I did say the word impractical because, if this was your real job, Gemini, out there in the wilderness or out there in the fields, whatever, having to harvest with a scythe, you wouldn't wear a full-length dress while doing it. I mean, not even a dress. This is like a gown, right? This just doesn't look easy. And no work, labor, is usually easy anyway. But I think the feeling that I get here is that you are so copacetic with this. You're so used to the amount of effort that you've been putting in that you think it's par for the course. You think that it's normal. And to a certain degree it is, because you've done it for so long, you kind of have a rhythm to it. Because the Nine of Wands is about, I've been working really hard. I've been chugging along at this. I'm basically a professional. I'm really freaking tired, but I can go another, couple of weeks like this, or months, or years. Like, it's almost the breaking point. It's almost the straw that breaks the camel's back. Almost. But it never actually gets there because the goal is bigger, right? The finish line is so close in your mind, Gemini. Or the idea of sustaining this rhythm, finding a pattern and holding to that pattern because, you've got food on the table, bills are paid, you're able to save a little bit. This is it. I'm doing it. I'm getting stuff done. But at what cost? Your health, your diet, your sleep, the stress or the strain it's putting on your family, or the tension that it brings into a room because everybody, when you get together and you have dinner, it's like the elephant is in the room, but it's not being addressed. Gemini is exhausted. Gemini's spouse is exhausted. The kids are irritable. The kids are acting up. The grandparents are ignoring requests from the parents, and the grandparents are coddling and babying the kids. That elephant is huge, and nobody seems to want to talk about it, okay? And you think this is normal. You think this is okay because you're getting by. You're getting by. There's not as difficult as this is, in some cases as irate or as ignorant as this person is, it's okay. You've been making it work for so long now that the finish line is near. You think. Whether it actually is, I don't know, but this is what you think. And that, again, feeds into the Four of Wands. It looks effortless to the casual passerby. If you were walking, along a fruit stand or a flower stand or at a farmer's market, it looks kind of easy, right? All the flowers and the food is out. Everything's labeled. They've got their little cash registers, their little, card readers for some of them. And it all looks so effortless. But when you really think about it, what's a farmer's market? It's for farmers to sell their food. It's not easy to be a farmer. It's not easy to harvest whatever they're harvesting and pack it up in a van or pack it up in a truck and bring it to the city or bring it to this suburban location every week and try to make profit off of that. That's not easy. That's not easy to sustain a family like that. Maybe they've got like 7 kids back on that farm. Who knows? And they come and they sell to you, or, I hope you get what I'm saying. It looks easy to the person who's perusing and shopping the market, shopping at this little stall, or if it's not like that, it's just, say you work in an office, for God's sakes, Gemini. You show up on time, you go to your lunch on time, you're smiling, you're sociable with people. Nobody knows that you're about to pull your last hair out of your head, that when you go home, you're popping like a Vicodin and you're chasing it down with a straight up glass of vodka because you're in so much physical pain. Or that could be you. This could be you. With the drinking or the substance use or abuse or the reliance on that. That could be you. If it is, I'm not surprising you. I'm not letting your dirty laundry out. This is between you and me. Okay? But I hope that makes sense to you, that just because it's not broken, it doesn't mean that it's good. Just because this thing runs doesn't mean that you should go with it. You know, my car is great. It's got a hole in the roof. It rattles. It makes all kinds of pinging and whining noises. You know, running down the road, down the street. Should you take that thing on a cross-country trip? No, you shouldn't. Should you take that car for a long drive of importance? Like, oh, I can help you move, and you pack all your friends' stuff in your car, and you know you got a jalopy, or not even that. You know you don't have a driver's license. You know that you don't have insurance. Oh, sure, I can help you do this. No, you can't. That's not legal. You shouldn't be driving at all. You know, that car is not fit for the road. You're not fit as a driver. But you're putting on this facade, to a certain extent, Gemini, that everything's okay. Because in your mind, what you want is so close. This idea of stability, foundation, structure to your home life, to your finances, to your resources, everything is moving towards that goal in your mind. And I think it is. It's just play smarter, not harder, right? Or work smarter, not harder. However that phrasing is supposed to go. You could do it in a different way, I think. But you're just like, this is working. It's fine. It's fine. The way this is right now, it's fine. And I don't think anybody's challenging you, except for maybe me in this reading right now, but I don't get the feeling here, and just in general what is being brought to me. I don't feel anybody's really challenging you to do it differently. I don't think anybody, because they're not wise to it. They're not wise to it. You and your family or your business partners or whoever are putting on such a good show of making it work that nobody knows there's dysfunction and there's drama and there's stress. Nobody really knows. Okay? Finally. Alright. So, and I think nobody knows is because you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job given how much of a mess it really could be. Like, in someone else's hands, or if certain circumstances were differently, it might play out. Going right now, you're doing a masterful job of balancing all the pieces, okay? You've got 6 of Cups. Right next to your 4 of Wands, and right next to the 5 of Swords and the 3 of Swords in your triplet. So, this also is what's kind of on the surface that people are, the passerbys are seeing. And I mean, it's not very original, or it's not far off of the depiction here on the card, but what they're showing me is, like, I don't know how often you guys watch waitresses or bartenders or whoever, people in restaurants who are, like, moving, coming and going with plates and glasses, and I admire waiters and waitresses and stuff, because I'm like, how do you balance all that stuff? Like, they come out with, like, 5 plates on one arm. How do you do that? Or, you know, they have, like, the tiniest tray, and they've got, like, 12 drinks on one tiny little tray. What? And they move in such a way, you know, after years of practice and training and all that kind of stuff, where oftentimes they don't spill a thing. They don't spill a thing. Give it to me, it's on the ground. But that's you. You're the masterful waiter or waitress. Some of you, that might be like your weekend job or your part-time job, waitressing or serving behind a bar or something like that. And this person has 5, right? Or is there 6? Nope, there's 6, because one's in the crook. Now, in this case, that 1 cup in the crook of the elbow is spilling. So I feel like this is possibly what might happen for some of you. You might spill a drink or two. You might drop a plate or two. So something in your circumstances, going back to the family dynamic and the kids and everything like that, something might happen. You might snap one day and yell at your father or yell at your mother over the food. That's a spill. You've got all the other 5 cups in your arm, okay? They're fine. They're not going anywhere. But one is falling down, or one could spill over, or one could drip onto the carpet, whatever. So there's a crack in the veneer, so to speak. There's a crack in the shell, so to speak. And I think that's sort of like your worst fear, Gemini, is that from your position, things are just chugging along. You haven't really put much thought into how to make it better. You've just been like, we're so close to what we want, let's just keep on with the game plan. And now, as you're nearing that finish line, as you're nearing completion, as you're nearing the next goalpost, there's a bump in the road. There's a slight change, or not change, but there's a slight upset. And then now you're like, oh my God, do I have to change my protocol? Do I have to change the program? Do I have to change my approach? And you don't like that. This is your worst fear, because the goalpost has been coming closer and closer and closer. You've been able, like, you're like, I can reach out and touch it. That's how close you feel. Like, you're like, so, you're almost there. And then something happens, or something has happened, or will happen, or could happen, that kind of throws your plan out of the window, or kind of holds up your progress. You don't want this to happen. You are dreading the possibility. For some of you, this is all it's going to be. It's just a possibility. It can be avoided, or it won't actually come to fruition. For others of you, it would come to fruition, and it's not gonna rock your world, because it is, and it would be a challenge, but you can overcome it. And if you are faced with this challenge, if you are faced with this bump in the road, this bit of adversarial energy, or adversarial, or I shouldn't say adversarial, but this monkey wrench, so to speak, I think it might be, this is where we're going to take a turn, but I think you have a layered message here, Gemini. So the next layer to your reading is, if you do get this hiccup, because it's not going to derail your progress. It's not going to throw everything out of the window. It's really just going to be like a nudge. And that nudge is coming from a higher place, a higher perspective, a bigger picture, however you want to think about it, spiritually or whatever. It's coming from something bigger than you, or someone bigger than you, or some entity or force that is bigger than you. If you experience the nudge, think about it. Don't just ignore it. Don't let it, just pass by. Examine it a little bit, I think, would be some advice. And that's coming from the Ace of Swords in reverse. Show you upright, as you might not be familiar with this deck. I think this is probably the prettiest Ace of Swords, or ace in the deck. I really like this ace. Also, note the color here. Yellow. And you can't really see it, but my little cloth here has the chakras, or the main chakras that we talk about a lot of times in spiritual or esoteric circles. And yellow is typically assigned to your solar plexus. And your solar plexus is all about your identity and your certainty and your sort of self-belief. And swords, especially the Ace of Swords in a tarot deck, would sort of align itself to that energy as well. Speaking with truth, or communicating personal truth, communicating clarity, or with clarity, being honest, being open, being aware, all of that stuff. But again, your sword came in the reverse, Gemini. So that's just not happening. So this nudge associated with the Six of Cups and potentially dropping the ball, or dropping a plate, is, if that happens or has happened, sit back and examine that nudge. Examine what exactly happened, what was said, what was done, what was not said, what could have been done. And I think you're going to find, if you do take the time to examine that, you're going to get some insight that is going to hit you right in your solar plexus. It's going to hit you right in your gut. It's going to hit you right in this deep place of knowing. Because that's also what the swords talk about, especially the Ace of Swords, is like this place of knowing, this place of truth and honesty and total clarity, self-proclaimed clarity, self-proclaimed truth and understanding. Okay? Nobody knows your truth other than you. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. Meaning, what could you not be fully embracing as a truth? Like, this sword being in reverse would be speaking to that, would be speaking to this sort of reluctance or this hesitancy or this avoidance or this ignorance towards some deeper, grander truth. Maybe that circles back into this 3 of Swords and 5 of Swords dynamic somehow, where we're talking about manipulation and lies and deceit and backstabbing and all of that. This sword, or this Ace of Swords coming in reverse, could refer to that. And it might not be you who is manipulating or telling lies or being deceitful or anything like that, or backstabbing other people. It could be you that has received that energy, who has received those behaviors and actions from others. And if that is the case, and you've ignored it, or you haven't really dissected it, or you haven't really gone back to the perpetrator of those behaviors and energies and asserted yourself, or told them how it made you feel, or you're not telling them, if it's consistent, if it's continually happening, you're not telling this person, hey, every time you say this, every time you do this, it makes me feel like such and such, or it adds this type of pressure or this type of stress to my life. It adds this much to my already 100 long list of responsibilities and obligations. You're not expressing yourself when the Ace of Swords is in reverse. And again, if you experience this nudge, this bump in the road, this little blip on the map that kind of upsets you for a day or two, or kind of looks like it could be bringing the whole house down, but it's really not, that's your chance to look and see, is there something missing? Am I not doing something? Am I not saying enough? Am I not reacting a certain way or responding a certain way that would prevent that nudge from happening again? Or would, I hope that makes sense to you. You have the opportunity, because aces are always opportunities. They're not guarantees. They're just chance. And most of tarot is chance anyway. But particularly the aces are about the chance to take the energy of the card, the quality of the card, either whether it be swords, cups, pentacles, or wands, and using it in your favor. The fact that it's in reverse is like, it's potentially, you're ignoring how it can be used in your favor. You're ignoring, or you're ignorant, unaware of the ways in which to turn this upright and then use this sword for your favor. And again, the yellow to me is like really giving me that solar plexus feeling. The color is like almost parallel to where the solar plexus is on the figure here on the cloth. So some of you that might mean something. For others of you, it doesn't mean a damn thing. But if that hits a little bit, get in touch with that solar plexus energy, meditate on it, do some yoga that kind of enhances it, and that's your core work, right? So, and if you're not doing any yoga, you could do core exercises. You could be doing plank, you could be doing crunches and things like that to enhance your core. Of course, you could also be eating good things to enhance your body, to enhance your bodily functions within your core, within your stomach area. Okay, think about it. It's something to think about. If you don't do it, you don't have to, but think about it. Now, your outcome for October, not too bad. Got the Sun card, right? 2 mariachis, a golden sun made out of a skull, because, it is the Santa Muerte deck. And the sun is like the card of joy, the card of positivity and affirmation. A lot of readers will say the sun card is the yes card. And I'm not going to say it's the yes card, because I'm not even sure that you're posing any type of questions right now, Gemini. Some of you might be, but overall, I'm not getting you questioning much. I get that this is more, your path is only slightly disabled or slightly shaken, okay? Like I said, this Six of Cups, blip on the map, a little bit of a bubble up of issues, or bubble up in a situation, or bubble up of another thing you've got to take care of on your to-do list, whatever. And you do have this dark energy, or this very demanding energy here in the 5 and the 3 of Swords. But overall, Gemini, I feel that you are pushing through, or you have the capability to push through and see things out to completion. For some of you, ultimate joy is your outcome, or rather, it's in your mind, and therefore might be manifested in your outcome, is how that should be phrased. It's like, you've been working hard, you've been working your fingers to the bone, like I said, picking up extra shifts, working overtime, whatever. It will pay off. You'll be able to get some bit of happiness from that work. Will you? I feel that if you do experience it, not that it will be short-lived, but I just think you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to enjoy it to its full extent. I feel that this joy, this happiness, this positivity is shared amongst you, and going back to the whole general overview or general feeling of this, you and your family. Like, this is not just Gemini's joy or Gemini's happiness. It's for everybody else involved. So that's good, considering I think that is going to be a part of your goal here and here, is to see other people happy, is to see other people provided for and kept safe and sustained. So that's what I mean. And I mean, there are 2 people in the card, right? Got the 2 mariachis. So this joy is shared. And I see that you would enjoy it. I see that you would be able to partake in it. But I think because you're so weary here and here and here and here, that it might not ripple. It might not expand or radiate to the highest level for you. For your kids, for your spouse, for your whoever else, they might feel it more. You might, you know what I mean? Like, this is for October, you know what I mean? Like, we're well into fall. We've been in fall for a while now, or we will be soon enough. I think that's what it is. Like, it's sort of like, not to make it about the seasons changing, but, you know how it is, like, at the end of summer, going into fall. Like, the sun is still shining, but it never gets too hot. You can see everything clearly. It's not like in the winter where the sun is out, but, you know, it's snowing and you can't really make heads or tails of what's in front of you if you're driving down the road. Something like that. In this fall or springtime energy, the sun is out, you can see everything, but it's just not hot. You're not like basking in the intensity of the sun. You're not reveling in the full glory of the sun when it's fall or springtime. You're definitely not in winter. You're closer in spring or in fall, but you're not at the pinnacle point of when the sun has its most vibrancy or it's not at its hottest. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you're able to follow that. So for others, they're going to experience it that way. They're going to be totally in the totally right in the center of the crosshairs of the sun. They're going to feel that impact so heavily. For you, Gemini, it's going to be a little reduced. I've got to be honest. It's going to be a little reduced. It's not bleak. It's not terrible. It's just not going to be as impressive or as stunning as it is for someone else. And if we're talking about children, especially young children, maybe you're working your fingers to the bone to buy something for your kids. Maybe they need something, or they want something so bad and you want to give it to them. So you've worked a lot of hours. You've asked your parents to step in and take care of them after school so that you can take on this part-time job so that you can buy this great gift for your kids. You give the kid the gift and they're ecstatic, over the moon, so happy, smiles from ear to ear. And you're happy to see that. But because of all the weariness of your body, the toll it's taken on your health, the strain it's put between you and your parents, or you and your spouse, or you and whoever else is in the house, or whoever, you and your boss, even though your boss isn't a part of your family, they maybe there's contention there now. So you're happy that you were able to give your kid this gift to make them smile, to bring joy to their life, and they are really basking in that energy fully. You're like on the outer rim, so to speak. Okay? And your overall energy is going to be, for October, is going to be the Two of Cups, which is lovely because that talks about soulmate connections. Now, this has not been like a romantic reading, although it could be for some of you. Like I said, your family can include your spouse. It can include anybody of your making who is close to you. So for some of you, this definitely is talking about a partnership of significance, romantic or not. Soulmates don't have to be people that you bone. They can just be, really good friends or family members, things like that. But really, I think this is more talking about, for you, Gemini, having some type of balance or some type of, like your outpouring to others. Your output towards others, or your output towards a situation, has been extravagant or extreme, or kind of just like the focal point of your mind. You've been so focused on giving that you haven't actually received a lot. And that's kind of evident in what's going on in the skull area of these two figures. One is pouring out, the other is receiving. And the one who is receiving is reaching into the ribcage of the other and kind of going for the heart. And that's a different type of reciprocity. That's a different type of giving back, or a different type of giving. But whatever you're receiving just isn't equal to what you've been giving. And again, I don't think you mind. I don't think it bothers you. I think you know it. I think you're at peace with it. And you kind of accept it. Do you want more? Should you want more? Those are things you might think about later, or at this moment, now that I've brought them to your attention. But there's just a certain discrepancy I'm feeling. In general, in this reading, overall, there's definitely discrepancies here, there, and everywhere, okay? There's definitely imbalances all over the place. But again, you are so used to it. You feel normal. It's normalized to you. It's the way it is. There's no other option. There's no other approach. And in a reading, normally I would feel compelled to kind of encourage you not to accept that, but I don't think that's in your mind right now. I don't think that's in your heart right now, to really upset the apple cart, to really make waves. I think you really want to like coast along, and I think you want to see other people happy. You want to see other people feeling good, and that's kind of your priority. You want to see other people feel good. You want to see your home life or your work life structured and stable, and you just want to ride this wave. You just want to ride this wave. Okay? All right, Gemini, that is your reading for October 2018. I hope it resonated with you. If it did, there's a like button down below. Feel free to hit it. There's also a subscription button. You can feel free to hit that as well if you're not already subscribed. And also feel free to comment and share the video if you choose to. If you want to do none of those things, that's totally okay with me. I just appreciate you coming to view up until this point. And I will be back in about 3 or 4 weeks' time, and I will do your November readings then. Until we meet again, take care, guys. Bye.